Thank you all for joining us here at Clearwater's 2020 Giving Tuesday event, where we're going to hear from a number of different people within the extended Hudson River and Clearwater community, and enjoy some music from some of Clearwater's longest standing supporters, as well as a couple of new ones. So I think I'd like to begin tonight with an introduction by our board president, Steve Stan, who is joining us by recorded video.
Hi, my name is Steve Stan. I'm the president of the board of Hudson River Sloop Clearwater. It was 40 years ago this month that I walked down a pier at South Street Seaport in New York City and got on the Clearwater. I'd been hired as its education director. Little did I know as we sailed off the dock that day that I was charting a course for a 40-year career in teaching about the Hudson River with Clearwater and with the state of New York. Now, of course, Clearwater was founded by Pete Seeger, and he imbued that boat with his hopes for a cleaner river, for the well-being of the communities along its shore, and for the health and a cleaner environment for the whole world. Clearwater is still out there carrying that message of hope, and I hope that on Giving Tuesday today you will consider supporting us among the many needy and worthy organizations that are out there. We could certainly use your help. Of course, Pete's music was imbued with that same hope, and I'd like to do one of the songs that he often performed. It wasn't one he wrote. It's called How Can I Keep From Singing? It's an old hymn. He adapted some words in it and added some from another lyricist, but it captures a lot of his spirit. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear that real though far off hymn that hails the new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear that music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? Though the tempest loudly roars, I hear the truth it liveth. Though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, as to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Tyrants tremble, sick with fear, and hear their death knell ringing. When friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to you are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? My life flows on an endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear that real and far off hymn that hails the new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear Pete's music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. And for those of you who don't understand the reference, I think when Pete Seeger sings, "How can I keep from singing?" That's meant to evoke all kinds of things that we feel we must do. And one of the things that Clearwater feels that we must do is to sail the Clearwater up and down the Hudson River. And so, as much as this is Giving Tuesday, this is also a celebration of our having cleared our annual Coast Guard inspection and getting underway on the Hudson River and looking forward to sailing throughout the spring and the fall. Of course, we'll need to be doing that work a lot differently than we normally do, in particular without taking guests of any kind on the sloop. But we don't think that will stop us from delivering a lot of great educational and inspirational content. And we hope you'll look for us out on the river. At this point, I'd like to introduce Joe Kaminsky. I met Joe Kaminsky for the first time when I first served with Clearwater Site Crew, which is the group of volunteers that helps set up and tear down the annual Great Hudson River Revival. And he was sort of my introduction to how music completely permeates the Clearwater experience and the Clearwater family, because despite having worked very hard all day, he played and sang all night. So hopefully his camera will come on in just a moment, and we will hear from Joe Kaminsky. There we go.
So I've been hanging around with this Clearwater crowd for the last 40 plus years. And I clearly remember the day that I met Pete. We were invited to go sailing on the Woody Guthrie, the ferry sloop. And the wind, we'd sailed upriver and the wind just died completely. And Pete and I wound up on one of the huge oars that they keep on the Woody just in case. And we had a nice long discussion about staying fit and healthy. He was 60 and I was 30, and he was in better shape than I was. And we had to row that, 32-foot boat back down under the bridge. And Pete saw a styrofoam cup floating downriver with the tide going out, and we were trying to go across. And he just said, "Get that cup." And we just started chasing this little styrofoam cup that bobbed tantalizingly downstream in front of us. And Pete dropped the oar, jumped out onto the bowsprit, half in the water, and grabbed the cup. And I'd never met him before. I really didn't understand what was going on. And he held up that cup as he got back on the boat. And he said, "They're not going to throw this garbage in my river." And I thought to myself, oh, it stuck with me all these years. It was a fun meeting. In the meantime, I sang with the Hudson River Sloop Singers, and some of the people who are performing with us tonight are friends of mine for 40, 30, 20, and 10 years or more. And it's a pleasure to see them. So I'm going to sing a song that I learned from Pete. I'll explain briefly. This is a song originally about hobos called the Milwaukee Blues. And Pete had turned it into Jay Gould's daughter. I don't know if he wrote the song or not, but he really disliked Jay Gould, the robber baron of the 19th century, railroad man. And so he had a daughter, his older daughter, who married into French royalty. And then the Marquis she married wasn't good enough for her, so she divorced him and married some count or duke. And if you recall, the wife in Downtown Abbey, as I call it Downtown Abbey, was an American whose money helped keep the Abbey afloat. Anyhow, you can go visit Jay Gould's castle if you like. It's down by Irvington, right on the Hudson River. So Pete had a negative feeling about this gentleman, and he let it be known. Monday morning and it looked like rain. Round the bend came a passenger train. Right in the blinds was old hobo John. Was a good old hobo trying to get home. Just trying to get home. Just trying to get home. Good old hobo just trying to get home. Down in Atlanta on a rainy day, the brakeman said I would have to pay. Didn't have no money upon my shoes. I'm going out west, I got the Milwaukee blues. Got the Milwaukee blues. I got the Milwaukee blues. Going out west, I got the Milwaukee blues. Now Jay Gould's daughter said before she died, there's 2 more drinks I would like to try. Jay Gould said, daughter, what can they be? She said, a glass of water and a cup of tea, and a cup of tea. She said, a cup of tea, a glass of water and a cup of tea. Jay Gould's daughter said before she died, there's 2 more rounds I would like to ride. He said, daughter, what can they be? She said, the Southern Pacific and the Santa Fe and the Santa Fe. She said, the Santa Fe. She said, the Southern Pacific, the Santa Fe. Now Jay Gould's daughter said before she died, Papa fix the wine so them bums can't ride. Cause right they must have gotta ride the rods to put their trust in the hands of God, in the hands of God. I said the hands of God. You gotta put your trust in the hands of God. Charlie Snyder was a good engineer. He told his firemen not to fear. Pour on the water, boys, shovel in the coal. Put your head out the window, watch the drivers roll. Watch the drivers roll. Watch the drivers roll. Head out the window, watch the drivers roll. Monday morning when it looked like rain, around the bend came a passenger train. Right in the blinds was old hobo John. He was a good old hobo. Now he's dead and gone. He's dead and gone. I said he's dead and gone. The good old hobo. Now he's dead and gone. Oh, thank you, Pete, for teaching me that song. I would like to introduce next a friend of probably 40 years, Karen Brooks. She's been a sloop singer. She has a group called the Trouble Sisters. I call them the Beaconettes because they're always hanging around in beacons. Karen Brooks.
Let's see. Oh, I'm on. Good. Hey. Well, hi, Joe. Thank you. And, you know, I used to sail on the Woody a long time ago with our good friend Danny Einbender. And I did write a song then I was going to do, but, you know, without instruments and other people playing, I'm going to do something solo because that's what you got to do right now, right? So I'll do the song that Pete wrote that I always love. And it's a slow one. I wish you could play on it. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. Some wanna be like an ostrich, bury their heads in the sand. Some hope for plastic dreams to unclench all those greedy hands. Some wanna take the easy way out, poisons and bombs they think we need. Don't you know you can't kill all the unbelievers? There's no shortcut to freedom. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. Go tell all the little children, go tell mothers and fathers too. Now's our last chance to share what's been given to me and you. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more?
Well, thank you very much, Karen. That was beautiful. I want to point out that we would not be able to proceed tonight without a tremendous amount of generosity, both from our crew and the entire Kingston community. As some of you may know, one of the ways that we've been able to stay safe within the current pandemic conditions is that the crew actually lives and works together on the sloop. And she's been tied up at our Kingston home port all winter, but even though we had to dramatically reduce our staff, we nevertheless had a whole bunch of volunteers work all spring to get the sloop ready to sail again. And somebody pointed out to me that it's actually pretty unusual for a wooden tall ship program to last as long as Clearwater's has. And we've now been sailing the sloop for over 50 years. And it turns out that there are only 2 other tall ship organizations in the United States that have been operating under the same ownership with the same wooden tall ship for 50 or more years. And both of the other organizations are currently closed due to the pandemic. And I'm sure we would be as well if it were not for the hard work and generosity of the crew and everyone up there in Kingston who's been supporting them. I'd like to next introduce Lori and Ira McIntosh. Lori, better known to some as Story Lori. And 2 years ago, when my daughter came to Clearwater Festival for the first time, it was their family and their kids that made her feel at home and taught her how to use power tools and make herself useful to the site crew. And so just more fantastic memories with Clearwater folks. And let's hear them play a tune. There we are.
Hi. Hello.
Well,
Thank you so much for introducing us, Greg. I'm the Lori half, in case you couldn't just tell that. That's the Ira half. Anyway.
And we're really, really happy to be able to be part of celebrating Clearwater and want to encourage everybody to pitch in and lend a hand and help Clearwater out.
Yeah, it is Giving Tuesday, and the reason that we're all doing this concert tonight is not just in honor of Pete, whose birthday has just passed, but in honor of the Clearwater, which is an amazing organization. And the sailboat, I tell you, every time I go into a school and I'm doing a program of music and stories, I always find myself talking about Pete, and I end up talking about the Clearwater. And anytime I mention that boat, if the teachers weren't already aware of the fact that they could take their school, take their classrooms there, they get so excited by the prospect of that. So we look forward to when everybody gets back to that time where we can do such things again. And everybody pitching in to help out right now will definitely help keep the boat afloat so that it can continue its wonderful education program. The song that we're about to perform is one actually that was written by a Clearwater educator named Jean Bella McAvoy. And it's one that has been sung for many, many years by many fans of Clearwater.
And Pete loved this song. He liked it so much, he even wrote an extra verse for it.
I meet you down by the river, down by the river, down by the river,
To see what we can see. Down by the river, by the Hudson River, down by the river, that's where I want to be.
You may be feeling cramped and crowded, you may be feeling restless and bored. I know a place can cure what ails you, leave you refreshed, leave your mind restored. I'll meet you down by the river, down by the river, down by the river,
To see what we can see. Down by the river, by the Hudson River,
down by the river, that's where I want to be. Well, you never know what you might find there, you never know what the tide may bring, but I know I'll find peace of mind. There's something about it makes me want to sing. I'll
Sing
meet
it.
you down by the river, down by the river, down by the river,
To see what we can see.
down by the river,
by the Hudson River,
down by the river, that's where I want to be. So just make your way down to the water, that river will bring the world to your feet. Might be something washed down from the mountains, dredged right up from the ocean's deep. I'll meet you down by the river, down by the river, down by the river,
to see what we can see. Down by the river, by the Hudson River, down down by the river, that's where I want to be.
Well, once we got careless about our river, let it fill up with pollution and trash. Now we're working hard to protect it. Wanna make sure the Hudson River will last. I'll meet you down by the river, sing along. Down by the river, down by the river, to see what we can see. Down by the river, by the Hudson River. Down by the river, that's where I wanna be. That's right. Down by the river, that's where I wanna be. Once more, down by the river, that's where I want to be.
Down by the river, that's where I wanna be.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gene, Val, and McAvoy, for writing that fabulous song. And thank you to all of you for listening to all of us here this evening. So wonderful. You were about to say something?
Right now, I would like to welcome some old friends of ours, Mary Ellen Healy and Vinnie Cerniglia. This is a pair of stalwart sloop singers. They've been Hudson River sloop singers for more than 30 years, and they were the driving force behind reissuing the Hudson River Sloop Singers Broad Old River album. And we've been very lucky to know them for a long, long time and have enjoyed singing with them for years. Mel and Vinnie, take it away.
Thank you.
Oh, sweet. Wow. Story Lori and Ira, we were playing along here.
And singing.
I miss you guys. And we were playing along.
So I want to point out that behind us, this beautiful flag. Okay, Greg, now our video.
All right. Well, we'll come back. Hello.
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, we're back. Yeah. Wow, that was exciting.
So it's a different kind of stage we're on here, a new platform. Well, behind us, this beautiful flag was made for us by Claire Francis. And you can see the splendid sloop Clearwater, surrounded by our favorite creatures from the air, the land, and the sea. And the words say, impossible is possible. The lesson that we learned from Pete Seeger in our work together through the years. If everybody does a little, we can do much more than we thought was possible. So today, if we each give what we can, we will keep Clearwater running for generations to come. This song tells the story of Clearwater and the people who love her. Clearwater is an amazing community of members, volunteers, and staff. The sails are the wings that move a boat through the air and water. And the Clearwater has white sails. The song we'll sing is called White Wings by Magpie, and you can sing and play along at home. It's in G. Back in the days when the sloops sailed the Hudson, for all their cargo was carried by rail. Majestic masts with the wind in their canvas, White Wings was the name that they gave to the sails. White Wings will carry us on down the river. White Wings will carry us on downstream, and we'll all keep working and sailing and singing till these waters run clean, till these waters run clean. The railroads came and the sloops, they faded. Far distant memory, an echoed refrain. Then factory dumping, it poisoned the Hudson. But the dream of clean water brought them back again. White wings will carry us on down the river. White wings will carry us on downstream. And we'll all keep working and sailing and singing till these waters run clean. Till these waters run clean. And here's to the people who work on the river, giving their lives till the cleanup is done. The crews of Sojourner Truth, Rainbow Race, and Woody Guthrie, Clearwater's daughters and Clearwater's sons, with red sails, red wings will carry us on down the river. Red wings will carry us on downstream, and we'll all keep working and sailing and singing till these waters run clean. Till these waters run clean. And here's to the people on shore who are with them, the ones who are keeping the wind in the sails, the dreamers and doers, the planners and teachers who make sure the wind of the truth still prevails. White wings will carry us on down the river. White wings will carry us on downstream, and we'll all keep working and sailing and singing till these waters run clean. Till these waters run clean.
Well, it's back to you, Greg. I was so glad to have met you a few years ago, and we're glad that you're
At the helm
at
right
the helm,
now.
Yes.
Well, thank you both very much. I'll never forget, I think within minutes or maybe an hour of when I met you, you took me out to a local diner with a whole bunch of musicians and producers, and I got to learn what Guy Davis' favorite kind of pie was. And, the first of many welcoming experiences. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. So still learning to juggle the participant list. Sorry for the little slip up a few moments ago. I wanted to take a moment to let me make sure that I've got this right. But I wanted to take a moment to talk about the fundraiser that we're doing tonight. I've just put the URL in the description of the live stream. It's also in the description of the event itself. But right now, let's take a quick look at how we're doing. And so hopefully everyone can see this, this donation screen. Whoops. We are at $645 of the $10,000 we would love to raise tonight. The reason we picked $10,000 is because while we've been very successful at maintaining the sloop and keeping her sailing for 50 years, our trusted so-called land sloop, the van that we use to move sailors, students, and supplies back and forth between our home port and the many ports that the Clearwater visits, finally gave up the ghost last year. You know, it needed new brakes, new suspension components. The only thing that we were absolutely certain worked were all of the warning lights on the dashboard. So $10,000 would allow us to purchase another used vehicle and hopefully make that last another 10 years or so. So if you can, give us what you can spare, and we hope to see you out on the river soon. Next is Kyle Tigges, who's somebody I've met somewhat more recently, but is already a great friend of Clearwater's, and is a great friend to many other organizations as well. If you look at Clearwater's website and go to the Stay Inspired page, you can see many of the different online concerts that Kyle has contributed to or organized over the recent past. So let me see if I can get him on the screen and introduce you to the wonderful energy that is Kyle Tigges. Here we are.
Hi guys, thanks for waiting. It's been a nice zoomy day. Happy to be here, sharing some songs with Clearwater. I'm sad to have missed the other folks, but happy to be here now. And yeah, we'll do a couple tunes tonight. This song's called "Keep the Lights On." Yeah. What's that you said? You got carried away, caught a ride on a cloud. Now you float on the breeze overseas, and you're not coming back like you said. You got lost in your head, just trying to keep the lights on. Keep the lights on. So what you gonna do when they come after you, saying, hey, where's the money? And you say, oh, I ain't got it. Go on, empty my pockets, flip me upside down, then smile. You don't mind, it's how you keep your blood flowing. Keep your blood flowing. We all love life, and we all live for love, but it ain't a package they'll drop at your doorstep. It's kept in the darkest part of your heart, and you only see it twice. It's when you're coming and you're going. Coming and going. So what's that you say? You got carried away, caught a ride on a cloud. Now you float in the breeze overseas. Oh, I see you now, I heard what you said. Mom and Pop, they ain't dead yet, but they're dying to keep the lights on. Dying to keep the lights on. All right. Yeah, thanks for having me here. I think next up we've got David and.
Yep, you got it.
Oh, great.
You want to continue the introduction?
Oh, great. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, getting back into the Zoom flow here.
Right.
Yeah. So David and Jacob from up in Beacon. I met them buying a banjo a few years ago, and we've done a couple fundraisers together. One for the Jalopy Theater down here in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and a couple other things with Clearwater. It's been lovely sharing music with you guys.
Hello. Greetings. David Bernz here with my son Jacob.
Howdy.
And I don't want to take a lot of time talking, but I do want to say that I've been involved with Clearwater for much of my life. I'm 61 years old now. And And I think I started when I was 6 years old, and they were raising money to build this loop. And the vendor said, "Go collect all the empty bottles." And that's the first time I volunteered. I want to thank Clearwater for giving me such a rich part of my life, the community of musicians in the Hudson Valley, including Pete Seeger, but including all of you pretty much who are here tonight. And also, we should remember that it's not just Pete Seeger, but Toshi Seeger and her organizing skills that let all of this happen, the festivals and the boat and so forth. And now Tina Seeger is doing a lot to make sure things run smoothly. So I just want to give a shout out to them.
Definitely.
I want to thank all the musicians we are here tonight, and I know we're in disparate places. Some are not even in New York State. Some are up on the mountain. Various internet qualities, depending on where we are. So for those of you out there who are listening, think of it as the early days of television. Back then, there could be a whole orchestra coming out of a tinny little speaker, but because of psychoacoustics, you imagined the giant room filled with a huge sound, and it didn't matter. And in fact, when TVs used to be blurry as opposed to these high definition TVs we have now, we still could imagine the detail, because that's how brains work. And that's how my brain still works, because I'm from that era. But I want every one of you out there, whether you can hear a big full sound or just a little trickle, can imagine what the performer tonight is saying to you and putting forward. And finally, please donate to Clearwater and help them make their goal. I know some of us are long in the tooth, getting long in the tooth, and I'm so glad Jacob, the youngster, is here with me. If you are a young person and you're watching this, donate if you can, or ask an older person you're with to donate. But also, as this crazy COVID time comes to an end, maybe donate something of yourself. Go see what it's about. Go to a festival. Go to the riverfront. Go to clearwater.org. Volunteer. When I was young and on the boat and volunteering, it was some of the best weeks of my life. Greg pointed out that this has been 50 plus years, and it is a long haul. And the river's gotten cleaner, and it's going to get cleaner still if people keep trying. It's a long haul. Clear waters on the river. Clear waters on the river. It's a long haul. You better believe. Oh, Clearwater got a mighty big sail. Oh, make you go high. Got a high skirt high now without fail. Oh, make you go high. Hey, Clearwater. Oh, make you go high. Hey, Clearwater. Oh, make you go high. Albany's up and the battery's down. Oh, make you go high. Now we're headed to Kingston town. Oh, make it go high. Hey, Clearwater. Oh, make it go high. Hey, Clearwater. Oh, make it go high. Well, a little piece of pumpkin and a little piece of pie. Oh, make it go high. Wanna see Clearwater before I die. Oh, make it go high. Hey, Clearwater, oh, make it go high. Hey, Clearwater, oh, make it go high. Well, we're all staying home, we're staying in town. Oh, make it go high. Either 6 feet apart or 6 feet down. Oh, make it go high. Hey, Clearwater, oh, make it go high. Hey, Clearwater, oh, make it go high. Clearwater's on the river. Clearwater's on the river. It's a long haul. You'd better believe. leave. Thank you. Please donate.
All right, thanks to you both. Yeah, in case some of you don't know, David and Jacob have a music shop right next to another great friend of Clearwater's, the Town Crier. And the Town Crier, in addition to being a music and performance venue, is one of many struggling restaurants up across the United States. And despite having a big dining room that he fills up with people coming to see great music and sometimes provides that for free to do Clearwater fundraisers. He now has to keep the business alive doing takeout orders. And so if you haven't, if you live within 10 miles of the Town Crier in Beacon and haven't checked out their takeout menu, please do. We're tremendously indebted to Phil Sagana and the Town Crier, and would love to see his business keep going. The next thing I'm going to show you folks is actually a recording of one of my colleagues, Paul Gallet, of the Hudson River Keeper, and his is another organization that patrols up and down the Hudson River and is helping keep it clean and make it cleaner. And let me see if I can get him up here.
Hi, I'm Paul Gallet, Hudson River Keeper. I'm super happy to be part of tonight's Giving Tuesday live stream for Clearwater, and to know that she is once again out on the Hudson River, giving us all hope and reminding us of the beauty around us and the power of cooperation. The 100-foot-tall sail of the Clearwater is like the proverbial iceberg in that it represents something much larger. Clearwater joins our own patrol boat, the Fletcher, out on the Hudson River to continue to call attention to ongoing pollution. Her crew has worked all winter to make her ready, living and working together to keep each other and our community safe from the spread of the coronavirus. Now that they're able to sail, they do what they always do at this time of year: help teach thousands of students about the river. Only now they use the internet to reach the students in their homes. And in the meantime, Clearwater continues to work with citizen groups and local, state, and federal governments to ensure safety commissioning of Indian Point, something we at Riverkeeper care greatly about, and to create a viable plan to transition to sustainable energy and to ensure people up and down the river have safe water to drink. So when you see the Clearwater from your home, your local park, or wherever you're maintaining social distancing, I hope you'll think of all the good work Clearwater, Riverkeeper, and many others are doing to make the world a better place in these difficult times.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. We are going to hear once again from Joe Kaminsky, who looks like he's already on deck and ready to go. Take it away, Joe.
Well, some of my oldest friends are clearly involved in Clearwater, and I'm very proud to say that my two kids are involved in Clearwater. And Pete was always asking us, where is that next generation? Well, I provided two of them. Lori and Ira McIntosh have provided children who are now involved in Clearwater. And we have a number of other families. Karen Brooks's son and daughter-in-law are involved, and we're proud of all of them. And we need to donate to this cause to keep this going for the next generation. It's been a major part of my life. It certainly has provided my social life and musical life, and I would hate to see it fade away or diminish in any way. And so I got to know Pete better in his later life when my little band backed him up at a number of concerts. And the most wonderful thing was to sit in the green room after the sound check with Pete and get him talking. And it's incredible to think of the legacy of music that he led the way on, and maybe first Woody Guthrie and then on to Pete. And then, if, you know, Pete was blacklisted from radio and TV, and he went out and sang at summer camps, and he went out and sang at schools, and he created another generation, especially in the Hudson Valley, but not only. And I just loved him for that. So donating to this cause is not a waste of money. The river is no longer the sewer it was when I was a kid. And you can tell because 50 years ago, the cheapest property taxes were right along the riverside. And that has completely turned around. And now the highest property taxes are along the riverside. So, well, in this time of troubles, I'm starting to get used to being broke again. And boy, being cooped up at home, although I luckily have a workshop to go to, has really changed my perspective on this song. It's called Make Me a Pallet on Your Floor. You know that I'd be satisfied if I could jump that train and ride. When I make Atlanta, got no place to go. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make it right over by the door. Make it long and low, my good gal, you don't ever know. Make me a pallet on your floor. Where's all them good time gals of mine? Where's all them good time pals of mine? When you got your money, you know everything's just fine. Now where's all them good time gals of mine? Make me a pallet on your floor. Make it right over by the door. Make it long and low. A good gal don't ever know. Make me a pallet on your floor. Never turn a stranger from your door. Never turn a stranger from your door. He may be some friend you ain't never met before. Make him a pallet on your floor. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make it right over by the door. Make it long and low. My good gal, she won't ever know. Make me a pallet on your floor. I know that I'd be satisfied if I could jump that train and ride. When I make Atlanta, I got no place to go. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make it right over by the door. Make it long, make it low, my good gal, she won't ever know. Make me a pallet on your floor. And thanks for everybody listening in here. Now I'm going to turn you over to my old friend, Karen Brooks.
Hey there, thanks Joe, and thanks Greg for putting this on, and Ben, you guys are doing a great job. So, I was in my teens when I first came to the Clearwater Festival. I actually hopped the fence, the orange fence, the first year. I'm very bad, but I raised 4 kids throughout that whole period of time of Clearwater, and it was the beginning of the environmental movement. And what Pete and Toshi did taught so many people that are now, the whole reduce, recycle movement didn't exist back then, and it exists because of that. Um, and my youngest has become good part of the Clearwater Festival. So it's one of the most unusual things that I've seen is where different generations work together. And I haven't seen that all over. I live in Western Mass. I have a farm up here. Young people and older people don't really have the same connections as they do as part of the Clearwater family. It's really special. So that does need to continue. We need to continue Pete's legacy. It's really, really important. And I know everybody's struggling now financially. It's not the time to even be asking for money, but it's a really important thing that we keep that environment safe and keep moving forward with what we've been doing. So thanks so much. And I'm going to sing a song that Julie Gold wrote that I love, and because it kind of has some extra meaning right now. So. From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every land. From a distance we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, no diseases, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common band. Play songs of hope, play songs of peace, they're the songs of every land. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. From a distance you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance I can comprehend what all this war is for. From a distance there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the song of every land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every land. Oh, well, give if you can. It's a really special thing and really important. and stay safe out there.
Well, thank you very much again, Karen.
Thank you.
I'd like to take a moment now to recognize another great partnership, and that is our partnership with the Hudson River Maritime Museum. You can see in the background the Clearwater docked at the Hudson River Maritime Museum, and they've essentially been our hosts the whole winter. And as the various restrictions were imposed due to the coronavirus, we wanted to keep working, but we needed to do that safely and without disrupting or putting at risk the Kingston community. And the museum was just tremendously hospitable and accommodating, and ran interference for us a lot as we were trying to, not get in the way of people trying to get out when they could, and at the same time keep getting the slip ready to sail. So I'm going to share a video that they produced somewhat earlier during the shutdown, both to show you the important work that they do and to just remind everyone of the challenges of keeping a nonprofit organization running during times like this.
In times like these, you might ask yourself, why do we need museums? It's a valid question, but museums play a more important role in troubled times than you might expect. You see, museums are where society stores its memories. And whether it's during political upheaval or war or global pandemic, museums are where we turn to find information about how we handled these things in the past, and to see if we can learn from the successes and mistakes of those who came before us. In 1918, an influenza pandemic gripped the nation, and the decisions that people made in the moment had a huge impact on the outcome of that disease. Those who downplayed the risk, like Philadelphia, paid the price. Others, like New York, took precautions even before the flu became widespread and saved thousands of lives. Here at the Hudson River Maritime Museum, we looked to our lighthouse keepers for an example of what to do in times of trouble. Living isolated lives focused on the safety and well-being of others, they bravely kept the lights burning as a beacon for those traveling through the darkness. But we can't keep our lights burning alone. We need your help. As you may know, the Hudson River Maritime Museum has closed its doors to the public during this pandemic. This means we've canceled dozens of important educational programs, and program income accounts for over 50% of our budget, with another third supported by private donations and memberships. To serve our educational mission, even during this pandemic, we're launching an initiative to share our histories and stories online free of charge for everyone. Here's how you can help us make it through. First, please become a member. If you're already a member, please consider leveling up. Second, if you're able, please consider making a donation to help us get through these tough times. Third, please contact your legislators to make sure that museums and other nonprofits are included in relief efforts. And finally, please follow us on social media or join our email list. Not only will you get updates on all the great stuff we're posting online, you can help us spread the word to new people. Together, we can keep the lights burning.
So I hope Lisa and other folks from the Maritime Museum are still with us. Once again, they've just been terrific partners and hosts. And hang on a second again.
I think the Maritime Museum for a country like Australia that is an island is a very, very important part of our history.
Tourists love the interaction they get when they come to the museum with the volunteers, the guided.
Once again, I apologize for that. I hope Lori and Ira are still with us. I'm going to hand the show back to them and hear a little bit more of their magic.
Yes, indeed. We are here. We are keeping the lights burning too. So happy to still be here and singing songs with everybody. And that was a great little video. And, you know, it made me think about your mother, Ira. And it's actually thanks to your mother, who was a museum director and
a folklorist,
folklorist,
ethnomusicologist.
that Ira got the opportunity to meet Pete, starting a very, very young age. In fact, somewhere we have a photo of little 6-year-old Ira listening to Pete
You know,
tell the story song.
Toshi and Pete were friends with my mom. And so, you know, my mom brought me down to the Hudson River in the 70s when I was just a young fella. And there was no way that river was clean enough to get into. It was just in terrible shape. But thanks to the Clearwater, now, fast forward these few decades, and it's clean enough that we've raised our kids not being afraid to let them swim in the Hudson River. And, you know, that is thanks to Clearwater. Clearwater does wonderful work, and Clearwater has a lot of good work still to do. And so we'd like to encourage everybody to pitch in and help the Clearwater out. Now's a good time to do it.
Yep. And though I didn't get to meet Pete at an early age, as you did, I mean, your whole family has been involved with Pete Seeger for a long time. It wasn't until I was an adult and went to the Beacon Sloop Club with Ira and his mom and our little, well, now 15-year-old, but then baby daughter, Ava. And the first night that I met Pete, Ira and I played this song that we are about to play for you now. It's not one we wrote, though. Pete came right up to us after, like, "That's a great song. Did you write that?" And sadly, we had to tell him, no, we didn't. Guy Clark wrote this song. But Pete loved it so much that for a bunch of years after, anytime he saw us, he always asked us to sing this song.
I think he liked it so much because it's a great sing-along, and we hope that all of you out there will sing right along with us.
Whether you're in your rooftop garden or your basement apartment, wherever it may be that you are, we hope that you will sing
It'll
along.
stick in your head. You'll be singing it in the garden all summer.
All right, ready? Here we go.
Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Well, there's nothing in this world that I like better than eating a nice juicy homegrown tomato. Up in the morning, out in the garden, you get you a ripe one, don't pick a hard one. Plant them in the spring, eat them all summer. Winter time without them, it's a culinary bummer. Forget all about all the working and the digging every time you go out and pick you a big one. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
Well, you can go out and get that store-bought kind, but a homegrown tomatoes at least about 6 pounds. Yeah, you put them in salad, you put them in stews, you can make your own tomato juice. Well, eat them with eggs, eat them with gravy, eat them with beans, pinto or navy, and put them on the side. You can put them in the middle, but your homegrown tomatoes are hot cake.
Sing along, homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Change this life I lead, you know that I'd be Johnny Tomato Seed. I know what this whole world needs, and that's homegrown tomatoes in every yard I see. So when I die, don't bury me in a box in a cold dark cemetery. Out in the garden would be much better, where I could be pushed
celebration of homegrown tomatoes. Sing it, homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy. That's true love and homegrown tomatoes. One more time, homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy. That's true love and homegrown tomatoes. True love and homegrown tomatoes. True love and homegrown tomatoes.
Yeah, I could hear them singing. I could hear you
Nice
people.
job,
Could
everybody.
you? I'm telling you.
Mel and
sing
Vinnie,
along.
thanks for singing along with us. Hey, once again, we're going to pass this on along to our old friends, Mel and Vinnie, who we have enjoyed singing with so many places. We look forward to being able to sing with you right next to you again.
That's right. We're kind of square right now, everybody, but you know, back to our
And we're in
circle of
Florida.
song, and we look forward to sharing it with you guys.
Oh my.
Oh, Lori and Ira. Well, we're in Florida, so it's going to take a little bit of time to catch up with you when we can finally get out.
Yeah, well, it's and we certainly do miss those tomatoes, and certainly miss you guys. God, yeah. Anyway, well, Mel and I were sailors and volunteers for Clearwater for years, and these experiences led us to want to give back to ensure that the future generations have these experiences. We're members of the organization and renew every year. When we were sloop singers, way back when, we were part of a vinyl album for 40 years ago that Pete and the Hudson River Sloop Singers, and when it was at the end of the vinyl years, of course it's come back again, but about 15 years ago, we decided to digitize and reissue the CD as a fundraiser for Clearwater and the Woody Guthrie, and to date we've sold almost 1,000 CDs, and all the money went to the boats. We're still doing that, but this year we started to do something else, and we started a pocket change monthly donation to Clearwater. It comes out every month, and Clearwater needs our support, and a monthly donation gives them a little money every month they can count on.
And instead of trying to come up with a bigger chunk of money, we just have a little chunk of money taken out every month.
Right.
So, we're called Mel and Vinnie, and the most often asked question is, which one is Vinnie? So, that's Vinnie.
Oh, okay. So that's Mel.
And we're going to do a song that I wrote when I was second mate on the sloop Clearwater. I was so lucky that for 3 years, back when there were 3 sailing seasons, so for rigging in the spring and de-rigging in the fall, I was part of the paid crew on the boat. And, when we take out school groups, we use a big, large otter trawl net to catch fish to show the kids what lives in the river. And somebody sings a sea shanty as the net gets hauled in. And after a while, it struck me how we always sang about Johnny going off to sea while Nancy waited on shore, when in reality, you looked around the decks of the sloop and there were so many women sailors on the sloop crew. At times, it was all women on the boat. And during those years sailing, we did pumpkin sails, and we ran into lots of musicians who came on the boat for short periods of time. So this next song that I wrote, it's called The Sailor's Husband's Lament. It's in response to that Johnny Nancy thing in the sea shanties, but it was very special to me that one of the storytellers who is often at the Clearwater Great Hudson River Revival, Davis Bates, wrote a poem taking the perspective of my song, The Sailor's Husband's Lament, and writing it from the woman's from the husband's perspective of the man waiting for the sailor to come home. It's got a chorus, and we know you'll sing along, besides Ira and Lori, who I know can sing along, and all the little sloop singers out there. I hope you're all signed in and singing along. Every lass on the street looks so fair and sweet when his love is away at sea. She will leave on a wind after saying farewell. I'll return on a wind to thee. And then she's off on adventure and he gets bluer waiting for her return. A sailor's husband with roots on the land, he will wait and understand. And though his thoughts may stray on a warm spring day when she's away and he's all alone, still his heart remains true to the sailor lass who left him there on his own. And when her ship gets in, he'll ask,
how you been?
And she pulls out a present or two.
What for me?
And she has new self-esteem. She admires the garden, and he'll ask if her sailing days are through.
Done yet?
Not a chance. Then she's off on adventure, and he gets bluer waiting for her return. A sailor's husband with roots on the land, he will wait and understand. And here's where Josh Gordon might pull one of those deck wash brushes out of the brine barrel and start dancing around the deck with the school kids. He's trying something new among men. There are few who would wait while a woman is free. Free to go off and grow, free to come, free to go, while her man tends the chores and baby. So she'll tell him gently, she'll never be too long away from the sea. He'll raise the family, his son, on her knee, and they joke about his paternity.
Just who is this kid?
Then she's off on adventure, and he gets bluer waiting for her return. A sailor's husband with roots on the land, he will wait and understand. Well, thanks for having us here.
Yeah, back to Greg and give to Clearwater.
Well, thanks, you two. One of the things that I really enjoy is that music like this, that might seem like an act anyplace else. Something you might see at the Pirates of the Caribbean animatronic ride at the Disneyland. If you've ever spent time with a crew, you can tell that it's very, very genuine. If you even take a single sail and have an opportunity to help raise the mainsail, you're immediately impressed with how competent, confident, and articulate the entire crew is. And when they sing songs like this or use sea shanties to keep everyone in rhythm as they're doing hard work, it's just obvious that it's not an act. It's something that runs deep in their blood. And if you ever want to know what it's like to be a shipmate, you can always volunteer on the Clearwater or become part of the professional crew and become a member of a kind of family that I think most people just never have the opportunity to appreciate. So next up is Kyle Tigges again. Hopefully he's still with us and can play us another great tune. Kyle, you there?
I'm here. Hello, hello.
All right, I can hear you.
Hey guys.
And now we can see you.
I wake up in the morning and I smile with the sun, and I think about this world, just hoping all these little children live long, long lives, every little boy and every little girl. I hope they get to laugh when they see the way we almost didn't make the change. But that's what life is all about, to arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. So I've been tiptoeing around the city without my smile, so I've got to do it with my eyes, knowing all these kind people are the same as me, drowning in all the lies. I hope we get to laugh when we see the way we almost wouldn't make the change. But that's what life is all about, to arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. I took this song out of a book. It was called Arrange and Rearrange. And the first verse is kind of like that one. I hope all the children live long, long lives, every little boy and every little girl. I hope they get to laugh when they see the way we almost couldn't make the change, but that's what life's all about, to arrange and rearrange. And then there's other verses like, I wake up in the morning, I go walk by the sap trees. And I like that verse, but I feel like this song's about reflecting what's around you, right? And rearranging it. So what do we got? Go to bed in the evening and I breathe the air, and I thank my mother. She's dreaming about a world where folks really care and they know what their money's really worth. I hope we get to cry when we realize we've been too numb to change. But that's what life is all about, to arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. We sing, ooh-wee, oh, why arrange and rearrange and rearrange. Yeah, so go check out Jake's Main Street Music in Beacon. They have a lot of fine instruments. I've gotten a couple from up there. It's been lovely sharing music with you all. I have to thank you again for this banjo. I'm gonna play my park song. Just a silly song to play at the park with people passing by. If I don't know the form, I won't know where I'll be born. I'll go drifting out in the Milky Way. While the secrets in the dirt awake the seeds of loving birth, I'll keep drifting out my wishes, but my heart keeps screaming. It's just a summer melody written mostly by that tree, as I'm wondering when she'll get her relief. When the moon moves high above across the sky like a turtle dove, oh, at midnight we will rest our leaves. If I don't know the form, I won't know where I'll be born. I'll go drifting out in the Milky Way. While the secrets in the dirt awake the seeds of loving birth, I'll keep drifting out my wishes, but my heart keeps screaming. All right, yeah, thanks for Clearwater for putting this together. It's been a pleasure sharing music with you over the past couple years. Just found out about Clearwater in the last decade, which I feel like is a relatively short amount of time compared to how long they've been around in this community, and it's rich. So keep it rich and keep it flowing. All right, thanks guys. Give it up for David and Jacob. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, Kyle. That was a wonderful set of tunes you just did. And it's so nice to see, when we have a store full of instruments, we sell them and they go out in the world. We don't always know where they're going or what they're doing. But tonight we've seen a couple of them, and it's just great to know that the instruments are out there in the world doing their job through good times and now through hard times.
Yeah.
You want to say anything?
No, that's all good. We're going to play an old tune, standard, that we kind of reworked.
You know, sing along.
Troubles I've seen, nobody knows but me. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Glory, glory, hallelujah. But sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, sometimes I'm up, but sometimes I'm down, sometimes I'm up, but sometimes I'm down. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Sometimes it feels that the lights are gone and the world is only darkness. Just when it seems that the lights are gone, Glory, glory, hallelujah. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Nobody knows but me. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Come on, sing. Nobody knows but me. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Stay safe, everyone, and support Clearwater whenever you can, wherever and whenever you can.
Good night.
So thanks to both of you again. This has been a real treat. And in addition to being a very successful fundraiser, I hope it's been fun to watch and fun to participate in. A really important part of Clearwater is embracing the idea of participation and making your world, even if it's just the world a few inches around you, better by getting out and doing something. And not being deterred when it may seem difficult or the results aren't as spectacular as you might like. So sing. If you hear somebody else singing, sing along. It doesn't matter if you don't have a trained voice or if you feel like it doesn't sound good. The important thing is to get out there and do something to improve yourself and to improve the world around you. We've done a lot of thinking here at Clearwater about whether it makes sense to try to continue operations given how much people around us are struggling. And it occurred to me just the other day when the coronavirus fatality count actually exceeded the fatality count for our involvement in the Vietnam War. And perhaps coincidentally, perhaps not, Clearwater as a boat and as an organization was actually born during that very time. And people wondered then, why on earth is Pete Seeger sailing around the Hudson River in an old sailboat? And I think what was true then is as true today. While wars may come and go, viruses and other pestilence may come and go, what is always going to be important is to do your best, be involved, respect those around you, respect the world around you, and do whatever it is, however small, that you can do to make the world a better place. And that's certainly what we feel like Clearwater is going to be doing as she sails up and down the Hudson River. And hopefully many of you will be able to see her gigantic white sail as you look out your windows and look from parks and other places where you can maintain social distancing and still appreciate the beauty around you. And speaking of the beauty around us, who else comes to mind but Joe Kaminsky? Hopefully he's still here with us and ready to play us another tune. Here he is.
Hold on, I'll turn the light up. Well, that was real show busy of me. Thank you.
Take it away.
Well, so I started out years ago playing in a band in New York City, and we played at Clearwater Festival several times. And then I disappeared and started raising a family and got into serious suit and tie work situation. And that all crumbled, and I moved out here to New Jersey. I'm in the wrong river valley. I'm in the Delaware River Valley. And you have no idea listening to these guys play tonight how much I miss gathering with them, which we did regularly for years. When I came back to Clearwater about 15 years ago, I dragged my two children kicking and screaming to the festival for just one day, and they hated it. And then a second year passed and another year, and suddenly they discovered that they had friends, the children of my friends, who were at the festival already, and they just didn't know it. And suddenly every spring came along and they started in with playing the Broad Old River album, and they started going, when's revival this year? And I said, it's the same as always, in the middle of June. Are we going? And yada, yada, yada. They were actually part of the site crew before I was. The only reason I started going to site crew was because my youngest, Alexandra, was too young to go unsupervised. So I got dragged into it, but I have felt, working with the site crew now for more than a decade, I have felt a real sense of giving back, you know, working our butts off, but a sense of giving back to Clearwater from the musical joy they've brought me for 40 years. I'm sad that we're not going to be able to do a festival this year, and really I will miss it. And I just hope you can all join us in some way, in any way. Send a few dollars, come down and volunteer. You know, when this virus will not last forever, someday somebody will get their heads on straight and we'll have a vaccine and life will begin to return to normal. Anyway, I was thinking as I watched this, my friends perform, and I'd like to shout out to my new friend Kyle. I like his music. I heard this song way after everybody else heard it because I live under a rock out here in New Jersey and I don't come up that often. And is this a poem by Woody Guthrie that was among these songs that they were poems, but there were no melodies for them. And Nora Guthrie at the Guthrie Foundation, that's our little sister, runs that, has found musicians all over the I guess the English-speaking world to write melodies. And I think this one was written by this melody was written by Billy Bragg. And I was at a party at David Bernz's house and listening to someone play it across the room, and it's called Way Over Yonder in the Minor Key. And that's when it hit me. The minor key is a place. And it's a place I'm very familiar with. So let me give it a try. I lived in a place called Oakwhisky. I had a little girl in a hollow tree. I said, little girl, it's plain to see. There ain't nobody that can sing like me. Ain't nobody that can sing like me. She said, it's hard for me to see how one little boy got so ugly. I said, little girlie, now that may be, but there ain't nobody that can sing like me. Ain't nobody that can sing like me. Way over yonder in the minor key. Way over yonder in the minor key. Ain't nobody that can sing like me. watch the frog eat the goggle-eyed bee. Listen to the west wind whistle to the east, singing, ain't nobody that can sing like me, ain't nobody that can sing like me. Way over yonder in the minor key, way over yonder in the minor key, there ain't nobody that can sing like me. I said, little girlie, won't you let me see? Way over yonder where the wind blows free, ain't no one can see us in a hollow tree. And there ain't nobody that can sing like me, ain't nobody that can sing like me. Now mama took a switch from the cherry tree, laid it on both she and me. Stung much worse than a hive of bees. Ain't nobody that can scream like me, and there ain't nobody that can sing like me. Way over yonder in the minor key, way over yonder in the minor key, ain't nobody that can sing like me. Now I have walked a long, long way, but I still look back to my Tanglewood days. It's caused many a girl to step astray, singing, ain't nobody that can sing like me, and there ain't nobody that can sing like me. Way over yonder in the minor key, way over yonder in the minor key, ain't nobody that can sing like me. There ain't nobody that can sing like me. Ain't nobody that can sing like me. No, Karen Brooks is still with us. I'd love to turn it over to her. I know she's got a million songs.
This time I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna take off my headphones this time because I can hear. I can't hear you, Joe, anymore, but that's all right. I don't know, is my video on there? Because I don't know. I see Joe, but I guess I'm there. Let's see. Showing the active speaker, must be Joe still, there we go. Anyway, this song I learned because of Pete, and it's a Phil Oak song, and he always asked me to sing it. It's a great song. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the meadows and the mountains and the sand. Walk through the valleys and the rivers and the plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. From Colorado, Kansas, and the Carolinas to Virginia and Alaska, from the old to the new, Texas and Ohio and the California shore. Tell me who could ask for more? Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. Yet she's only as rich as the poorest of the poor, only as free as a padlocked prison door, only as strong as our love for this land, only as tall as we stand. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom, glory shall rest on us all. Yet our land is still troubled by those who have to hate. They twist away our freedom and they twist away our faith. Fear is their weapon, treason is their cry. We can stop them if we try. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom, glory shall rest on us all, on us all. Thanks so much. I'm gonna put my headphones back on. I don't know if I was there or not, but
Well, you were there.
I was. I only
Rest
saw
assured.
Joe. I only saw Joe. It was kind of disturbing. No offense, Joe. Anyway, thanks so much, Greg, for doing this. And I'm going to go off and bottle feed the baby lamb.
All
Thanks
right.
so much for putting this on. And everybody give to Clearwater if you can. It's an amazing organization and they really do need your help. And it's for the kids, because if we don't have Clearwater, the kids will never know what it was about. And that's the thing that we will really be missing. So thank you again, and have a good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks. You have a good night too, and hope you get to bed soon.
Oh, after dinner.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who may have joined us relatively recently, I want to just check in to let you know how we're doing with the fundraising. We have raised tonight getting close to $2,000. It would be great to close out the evening at an even 2,000 or maybe a little bit more. And I wanted to say again something I said at the beginning of the live stream, which is that Clearwater is really unusual and perhaps even unique. The work of keeping a wooden tall ship afloat and underway is a special kind of challenge, and there are very, very few organizations that do it as well as Clearwater does. I went looking to see how many other wooden tall ships organizations there were in the United States, and whether or not any of them had operated under the same ownership for more than 50 years, the way Clearwater has. And I found two other ones. And I'm sorry to say that those two other organizations are closed due to the coronavirus. And I just can't imagine we would be able to get the sloop underway without your continued generosity and without the incredible hard work of our largely volunteer crew and the many people in the Kingston community and elsewhere that have supported them. So if you can support us a little more, we would love to keep this organization running for another 50 years and to demonstrate that even when things are tough and when we have to do things differently than the way we've done them in the past, for instance, we'll be taking passengers not on the sloop physically, but we'll be inviting them onto the sloop via internet-based video instruction. So having a change is just part of life, and persevering despite that change is something that Clearwater has done well for 50 years. And with your continued support, we hope to do another 50 years. So it looks like Ira and Lori are still with us, and I'm going to invite them back onto the screen with us and ask them to play another wonderful tune.
All right.
Hello, hello. We're delighted to still be here singing songs.
And we want to share a song with you guys that is, it's just a delightful song. It was written by a guy named Bob Reed with a classroom full of elementary students. And it's a song that we play far and wide and enjoyed all over the place. Now, this is a song that's meant to be sung by lots of people.
Oh, yeah.
So we want everybody to sing along. And if you happen to be someone who thinks that you're not going to hit the same note as we're singing, that's a wonderful thing, because you just sing a different note. That's harmony. It makes it all sound bigger and better. And if you think you can't sing any notes at all, you just holler along or whisper along, any way you want to do it. It's going to make it good.
Amen.
Well, animals need water. People need it too. We're gonna sing a song. You all should sing along. Here's how we're gonna do it. We'll do it like this. Sing. Animals need water. People need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Sing it again. Animals need water. People need it too.
That's right.
Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Oh yeah. You know there's water everywhere, and not a drop to spare. There's water underground, and there's water in the air. Although it may evaporate, it never goes away. It rains up on the mountains, then it flows down to the bay.
Everybody.
Sing it. Animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Keep singing. Animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Oh yeah. Now you could take a shower, or you could wash your hair, or you could wash your clothes, or even wash your teddy bear. Hey, really clean water is getting pretty rare. If we're gonna keep it clean, people have to care. Sing it. Animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Animals need water, people need it too.
That's right.
Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Oh yeah. Now, this song is a true story. Every word of it is true. And we wouldn't be telling the whole truth if we didn't tell about a little bit of the bad news. You see, when I was young, I could be pretty sure that whatever I caught when I went out fishing out here in the Catskill Mountains, I could bring it home and my grandma could cook it up and serve it for dinner. Didn't that make me proud of myself, thinking I was helping to feed the family? Well, nowadays, see, the New York State Health Department has warnings out there saying that young people and women of childbearing age should not eat the fish that come out of our streams.
That's bad news.
You know, they say the streams are filling up with stuff like PCBs. It shows up in the fish and then in you and me. If we get enough of it, we might be sick in bed. Hey, if we get too much of it, we might wind up dead. Sing it. Animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Sing it again. Animals need water, people need it too. Yeah, keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. You know water is rain, water is a flood, water turns dirt into
mud.
Sometimes water's blue, and sometimes water's green, and sometimes water's dirty, but we like water. Yeah, animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Keep singing. Animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Sing it again. Animals need water, people need it too. Keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you. Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we love singing songs about keeping water clean. We like to remind people that it's very important to do what we can.
Amen. You know, sometimes it might feel like, what am I doing? The part I play is so small. How can this actually make a difference? It can. You know, there's a really wonderful story that Wangari Maathai, who won the Nobel Peace Prize years ago, she's no longer with us, but she was the first African woman to win a Nobel Peace Prize. And she won it largely due to the work that she had done as part of the Greenbelt movement, which she founded in Kenya, the country where she was born, and where she, after going to school, went back to continue the wonderful work she was doing, and literally helped to plant enough trees or get others to plant trees as well, thereby creating jobs for women, thereby preventing erosion, having all these wonderful impacts. But there's a story that she told about a hummingbird who saw a forest fire one day, and all the animals, all the big animals of the forest were standing still, just stunned, not knowing what to do. But the hummingbird flew in. That hummingbird saw the fire and off in the distance saw a river, and she flew off to the river and got a little drop of water in her mouth and came back and dropped it on the fire. And back and forth she went. And the big animals, the elephant with his long trunk and the other animals with their large mouths, were looking at her saying, "What do you think you can do? What are you doing?" She said, "Hey, what I'm doing may not seem like much, but I can't stand here and do nothing and watch the forest burn. I will do what I can." And Wangari Maathai said in her life, she always wanted to be the hummingbird. And she really was. She started with just one little tree at a time, one seedling that she gave to one woman. That woman planted it. It bore fruit. The fruit fed people. The fruit also bore seeds that then other seedlings were planted from. And so it goes on and on. So just one little simple act may not seem like it yields much, but in the end, it does. So we hope that you folks will be inspired to do the same in your everyday life. And for anybody who feels inspired to help Clearwater keep going with its amazing efforts to educate the next generation about continuing to keep the river clean and other advocacy things that Clearwater does, we hope that you feel inspired to give tonight too.
And no one of us can keep the Clearwater going all by ourselves. And that's why we're here all together tonight. Because if each one of us does what we can, even if it's that one little drop at a time, that's what keeps it going.
Amen. So we're so happy to be here tonight. We have a great group of friends who are here with us. And do we know who's coming up next? Are Mel and Vinnie still here? Are they going to be joining us for
We're here.
We sure hope to hear Mel and Vinnie.
Yeah.
Grace us with some more Hudson River music.
We're happy that you guys are still here, and I'm sure that the audience is going to look forward to getting yet another song from Mel and Vinnie. So,
thanks, Lori. Thanks, Ira.
Yeah, lovely story. Lovely story.
And a great song, that Bob Reed, "Animals Need Water." And, you know, we're all talking about the same thing. And Lori, your story reminded me of the seesaw story that Pete tells about a seesaw that had a bucket of rocks on one end, so it's on the ground, and there was a bucket with holes in it on the end that was way up high. With sand in it. And, I guess the one on the ground had the sand too. And people came with their teaspoons, filling up the bucket with
holes in it.
With holes in it, with a teaspoon of sand at a time, and everybody laughed at them and said, "Ha ha ha! Nothing's going to happen." But all it took was one teaspoon of sand to turn that seesaw the other way.
But it was all the other folks that did it.
And so we all do it together. The song we're going to do is by Chuck Winans, and it's called "The River's Tale." It's a conversation with the river. And it's on both the Broad Old River vinyl CD and the Broad Old River 2 CD, which has all of those songs plus 5 more resurrected from 8-track tapes at the 1986 Great Hudson River Revival. And it's available. You can go to clearwater.org and go look in there, things for sale. And both of those products are listed there.
Yeah, Chuck's out in Chicago. He was this loop singer from way back, and he wrote this song.
I went wandering on the Hudson for to hear the tale she told. And she told me forgotten legends of a life so long ago. And she told me old time stories of the folks who came before. She gave me comfort and made me lazy, and I lay down upon her shore. Here's the chorus. She's a wonder, she's a beauty. When I ask her, she'll reply. She's an old friend, she's a stranger, and I'll love her till I die. And as she spoke, sleep overtook me, and I rested on her bank. And in my dream I knelt to drink her, but her words did hold me back. Do not drink me if you love me. Do not drink me, do not try, for I am ill. I have been poisoned. Dare to drink, and you will surely die. Here we go, sing it. She's a wonder, she's a beauty. When I ask her, she'll reply. She's an old friend, she's a stranger, and I'll love her till I die. When I woke, it was the morning, and I had slept the whole night through. So I went forth from the rolling water to convey this river's tale to you. Tell your kin in the Hudson Valley, tell your neighbors in Lake Worth Beach too, here in Florida, of the story of the rolling waters and the dream this river leaves with you. Blue green waters flowing down, free and clear from Warrensburg on down to New York town. Spread the word from every hill. If you can do your part, and you can rest assured we will. She's a wonder, she's a beauty. When I ask her, she'll reply. She's an old friend, she's a stranger, and I'll love her till I die. So,
We're proud to be here tonight with Greg Williams, Ben Kaminsky, Lori and Ira and Karen
David and Jacob,
and Kyle and Joe, baby, and
Uncle Joe Kaminsky.
and Clearwater really needs our help, and we hope that you all donate what you can. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
we're actually pretty close to that $2,000 mark. And I realize everyone who's on the video right now has probably given everything they possibly can. So now's the time to call your friends and let them know that we still have great music coming up, and they should join us. And if they feel like it, give what they can spare. Right now, I'm going to take a break to have a guest appearance by one of our board members, Neil Gordon, who's going to demonstrate how any one of us can build your own ukulele, invent your own songs, and teach kids about the Hudson River. If you enjoy the song, one of the things that you can do is if you record yourself singing along to it, and send it to us. If you go to our website and click on the Stay Inspired link, it'll give you a link to upload videos, and we'll stitch them all together and post the combined singing, hopefully with Neil singing with tens or even scores or hundreds of you. So here we go. Take it away, Neil.
We're sailing on clear water and keeping the river clean. We're sailing on clear water and keeping the river clean. Sailing on clear water, keeping the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Raising up the mainsail and keeping the river clean. We'll raise up the mainsail and keep the river clean. We'll raise up the mainsail and keep the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Steering with the tiller and keeping the river clean. We're steering with our tiller and we're keeping the river clean. Steering with our tiller and keeping the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Learning about the river and keeping the river clean. We're learning about the river, keeping the river clean. We're learning about the river, keeping the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Sparkles on the water, we're keeping the river clean. There are sparkles on the water, and we're keeping the river clean. Sparkles on the water, and we're keeping the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. See the little lighthouse, keep the river clean. We see the little lighthouse, we keep the river clean. We see the little lighthouse, we keep the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Heading back to shore now, we keep the river clean. We're heading back to shore now, keeping the river clean. Heading back to shore now, keeping the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Tying up those dock lines, we keep the river clean. We'll tie up those dock lines and keep the river clean. Tie up those dock lines and keeping the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Put the boat to bed now,
keep the river clean. We put the boat to bed now, we keep the river clean. Put the boat to bed now, keep the river clean. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Do it again tomorrow, we'll keep the river clean. We're gonna do it again tomorrow and keep the river clean. We'll do it again tomorrow. Keep the river clean, keep it clean, clean, keep it clean.
All right, thanks, Neil. I just need to let all of you know that rumor has it Neil has one of those for every day of the 2019 sailing season. And we're considering playing all of them until we reach our $2,000 goal. And look at that. We're within spitting distance of that $2,000. So let's see, where are we? I think we're, if Kyle is still here, we're ready for another performance by Kyle. And thanks to everyone for sticking with us. We still have a whole bunch of people watching, and we're going to keep playing and sing as long as anyone cares to watch. Take it away, Kyle.
Thanks. Your mind's an ocean and all you do is float, and pray to God there's no holes in your boat. But you're born bound to drown, you dove down and all you wrote is I'm not your fortress. I'm not your fortress. I'm not your fortress. I'm just the water in your moat. You know so much you over understand and pull apart my words with your bare hands, blinded by the light of all your plans. But I'm not your forest. You said I'm not your forest. I'm not your forest. I've just been rooted in your land. You grew up with a patch over one eye and told the truth so much now you don't lie. Your words pour down like water from gray skies crying, I'm out of focus. you're out of focus. Now we're all out of focus. But we've got love behind our eyes. Sailing down this dirty stream, still I love it, and I'll keep the dream that someday, though maybe not this year, that Hudson River and this country might run clear. This change we feel, it will change everything. The way we eat and breathe and love and sing. And if we start now, this change could be so nice. That old sweet earth is worth it at any price. Sailing down this dirty stream, still I love it, and I'll keep the dream. The oceans are dying now, we fear, but I live blindly in some Brooklyn bubble here. And from where I sit, the world still looks so fine. But I can't stay blind, and I won't stay blind all the time. Sailing down this dirty stream, still I love it, and I'll keep the dream. Someday, and let it be this year, that Hudson River and our country will run clear. You're looking through a window at a door. Open up, step in, there's a mirror on the floor. Looking down, look up in the center, you're the core. Surrounded by beauty. When you're surrounded by beauty. When you're surrounded by beauty. Well, who could ask for more? All right, thank you, friends. Thanks, friends of Clearwater, and thanks to Clearwater and all these beautiful musicians sharing songs with us tonight. I'm sure we're all itching to hear and feel music in different ways, but this is a pretty amazing substitute in the meantime. So thanks again for having me, and thank you for supporting Clearwater. Give it back up to David and Jacob, and wish you guys a good night.
Good night, Kyle, and thank you so much for that wonderful combination of songs. It was just beautiful.
Well, here's our last one. This is a train song. The night's not over until you have a train song. So here we go. Rock me in your loving arms when the light turns green. I'll be standing out here
Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Keeps me so far away from you. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Keeps me so far away from you. Rock me in your loving arms when the light turns red. I'll be standing out here with your thoughts inside my head. I'll be standing out here, yeah. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Keeps me so far away from you. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Keeps me so far away from you. Yeah, something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Keeps me so far away from you. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Something like an outbound train. Keeps me so far away from you. Thank you, Clearwater. Thank you, everyone. Support whenever you can. Good night.
Yeah, thanks everyone. This has been a wonderful evening for the music, just to get together with Clearwater friends and celebrate the organization continuing on, and to recognize the success of the crew in passing the Coast Guard inspection, and to raise a bunch of money. But for me, what I hope as many of you as possible will take away from this is that there are still ways to get together and enjoy each other's company, and to do good in the world. And I hope this is just among the first of many get-togethers that we'll have while we still make our way through the corona pandemic. I think Facebook may be cutting us off soon, so I want to thank everyone once again, and I hope to see you at the next performance. Oh, and of course, I want to make sure everyone on this live stream knows that while we won't be having an in-person Great Hudson River Revival this year, we will be having a virtual revival that's currently being worked on by members of the Revival Planning Committee and other volunteers. And hosting this event tonight is in part a way to get more familiar with the technologies that we will likely use for that event. So I hope we'll see you all there, along with many, many other performers and many, many other participants. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great night.